So where does the executor look to find the assets? Eileen has shared with us before, but before you answer this question, if you can give a brief introduction.
Certainly. My name is Eileen Moynihan, and my business is Legacy Estate Organizing. So let's set the scene. You've been named executor, or if you're a female, executrix of your loved one's estate, and you know it's up to you to start searching for the assets so that the estate can be gathered, the assets can be distributed to the named beneficiaries, and you can close the estate within a reasonable period of time. So where do you start? That's the big question. And my answer to that is everywhere. But the best sources of information are the simplest. So think back to conversations you had with your loved one while they were alive. Now, may have talked about property they owned, investments they've made, things like that. Perhaps they complained about rates they were getting or how much trouble it was to pay property taxes in another state, etc. These are all clues to assets that they owned during their lifetime. One of the most important sources of information is the mail. So you should have already forwarded your loved one's mail to your address. You want to open every piece of mail, even the ones that look boring, and immediately either shred, recycle, or file. Now, don't be too quick to discard. Sometimes an innocuous piece of mail might actually give an indication that your loved one had assets with that institution. So you want to file those documents from the financial institution to follow up on later. You also want to look for your loved one's most recent check registers, their credit card statements, but most importantly, the best source of information of all is the prior year tax returns, because on that they should have listed all of their assets. And it also helps your CPA when they're preparing the estate tax returns to know what your loved one had prior and things that they filed and deductions they were able to take in the past. And yes, you do have to file estate taxes while the estate is open. Now, if you want to be really thorough, you want to take a forensic look at their computer and their smartphone for any phone numbers and email addresses related to financial matters. Now, we're not being creepy here. We're just looking for if they contacted someone at Edward Jones or Morgan Stanley. You want to know if they're actually reaching out to a bank somewhere else in the country. You want to see if they're calling their former company's retirement plan. All of these things are clues. And these phone numbers can be easily put into a reverse lookup database on the computer, and you can find out what they're for. Also, email addresses are useful because if they have one that is not spam, but is actually referring to an investment they have or something they own, you can contact that company even without knowing the account number to find out more information on your loved one's assets. Now, end-of-year tax documents are my favorite, so you want to keep an eye out in the home and in the mail for 1099s and other tax-related statements that usually arrive in January. These are gold and give you the opportunity to find out more about your loved one's investments. I have a client now who we knew many of the investments for her loved ones, but in January, we started getting these 1099 interest cards from CDs we didn't know about, money market accounts, a savings account, and it really expanded the size and breadth of the estate. So again, January is a great time to be going through your mail, your loved one's mail, and making sure that you record everything that they may have owned.
Very interesting topic, and I was just curious, in your line of work, do you ever have to hire PI, private investigators?
I know some people have in matters for estates, but my background is in criminal investigation, so I kind of wear two hats on that. So if you need to find a beneficiary, I'm pretty good at finding people, and if you need to follow financial leads, fortunately my background is in money laundering, so, or I should say investigating money laundering. So
Right, that's good. That's good. Okay.
That would be an important point to make.
Awesome. So, and then my other question is, nowadays all of us have so many passwords electronically.
Yeah.
Bank accounts, credit cards, so many, Yahoo or Gmail, whatever, email and all that stuff. So what's the best advice in terms of letting your loved one know your password so that it's going to be so much easier, correct?
Yes, and that is an issue that people didn't have to worry about 20 years ago. Despite our interconnected world, it doesn't make things easier when you're administering an estate. It actually makes it harder. So I always say have some paper, have at least one piece of paper from each financial institution so that your loved one can find it. Same thing with passwords. There are programs that can track all of your passwords in case you forget one. There are programs that you can go online and set up a plan that your electronic estate administrator can access following your death. You may want to investigate these, but for me, the best way is the old-fashioned way. Tell your trusted executor or your successor trustee where to find your passwords so that they can methodically go through and shut down all of your accounts, contact your social media people, and make sure that all of the loose ends electronically are tied up after your death.
And once again, it's obvious, but that's going to make it so much easier, correct?
Yes. You're removing the mystery, but there's still a little bit of investigation required. So if you think of your deceased loved one as a subject of investigation and you want to find out everything about them, this is your chance to do so. So you're honoring them, you're learning more about them, and you're closing their estate in the process.
Great. Thank you once again for sharing all this. If this was helpful, please press subscribe and hope to see you in the next video.